Hello everyone, I will be talking about GUI widget and some features that go along with it in this video. A GUI widget refers to a graphical component in a user interface used to interact with a program. Examples include button, text fields, checkboxes, etc. They allow users to input data, trigger actions, or display information. Here's an example for explaining all of the following features related to GUI widget. So first, let's talk about changing the color of the widget. This involves modifying its visual appearance by altering properties like background, foreground, or text color. This adjustment can be triggered by user interaction or programmatic changes. So this code right here, this generates a random color using math random and sets the background color of J button or the color button to the generated random color upon picking. Next, let's talk about changing the font. Changing the font of the widget involves modifying its text appearance, including the font type, size, and style. This modification can enhance readability or emphasize content within the widget. Now, let's look at this line of code. This sets the font of the button to Arial bold font and size 16 when an event occurs, such as the button is clicked. Now let's move on to how the Flow Layout Manager works. Flow Layout is a layout manager that arranges components in a container one after the other, respecting the component's preferred size. Components flow in a row or column direction, wrapping the next line if the container space is limited. So we can see in this line of code that this is a J panel using the Flow Layout Manager. Flow Layout arranges components in a row or column, flowing in the next line if the container's width or height is exceeded. Now let's talk about Grid Layout Manager. Grid layout is a layout manager that divides a container into a grid or grid of rows or columns. Components added to the container are arranged in cells of the grid, ensuring equal sizes of each cell. So this line of code, we can see that it constructs a J panel using the grid layout 2x2, organizing components in a obviously 2x2 grid layout, placing one component in each cell. Moving on to border layout. Border layout is a layout manager that divides a container into 5 regions. Here is north, south, east, west, and center. Components added to the container are placed in these regions, each taking up its specific area. So here we can see that this code creates a J panel using border layout. Border layout divides the container into 5 regions: north, south, east, west, and center, allowing the components to be placed in specific regions. Next, I will be talking about event handling. event handling involves responding to user interactions, such as button clicks, mouse movements on a widget. Adding event listeners allows the program to detect these interactions and execute specific actions or functions in response. So in this example here, this part of the code adds an action listener to north button. When north button is clicked, it triggers an event that sets the text of a JText area to north button clicked string. So lastly, I will be discussing about changing the state of a widget. This involves modifying its properties, appearance, or behavior based on an event triggered by another widget. This interaction allows one widget's action to influence the state or behavior of another widget. So this snippet of code adds an action listener to the south button. When south button is clicked, it triggers an event that changes the font of the string south from Arial to Times New Roman. So let's run this code and look at the results. Okay, so as you can see here, once I interact with these buttons, it says, also when I click on this, the color changes, and then when I click on north button, it says north button is clicked, and when I click on the south button, the font is changed. So obviously this is not an example with any primary purpose, but other than explaining the concepts, but you can do so much more complicated stuff, such as creating a color changing calculator or more extraordinary things like that using these concepts. Thank you.